The last time we went national enduro racing, the Lead Belt National in Park Hills, Missouri. Caleb Russell in the FMF KTM takes his first win of the year and extends his points lead. Will we have a fifth winner in 5 rounds? Only time will tell. We head to Wyoming for the Inyan National. Hello everyone and welcome to round number 6 of the 2015 Canada National Enduro Championship Series presented by Moose Racing. We're here in Upton, Wyoming. We've nearly doubled the 1,100 population that makes up this city for the Motion Pro Inyan National. At our previous round in Missouri, the Lead Belt National points leader FMF KTM's Caleb Russell took his first win of the year, with Yamaha's Grant Baylor in second and defending national champion Andrew DeLong on the Husqvarna in third. As we take a look at the points for today's racing, Russell, sitting on top of the points since round 2 at the Sandlapper in South Carolina, maintains his points lead over Baylor and Russ Bobbitt, 23 points back between the two of them. So Caleb Russell still sitting on top of the points with Baylor and Bobbitt in second and third. 4 winners in 4 races leading into today's racing. Could we see a 5th winner in as many rounds? Or will we finally see our first 2-time winner of the year? We had some rain last night, some storms ripped through the area here in Upton. Could change the face of today's racing with some mud, rocks, other conditions that are factored in there. But let's check out all the action now as we pick up the riders in test number 1.
This is it. This is the one.
You know the deal.
As always in National Enduro Racing, the order in which the riders takes off reflects the order in which they finished from the previous round. So up first, our previous round's winner from the Lead Belt National, Caleb Russell, your points leader aboard the FMF KTM. We're actually picking these riders up at the start of Test 1 as they head towards the transfer trail. Everything's a bit more spread out here in Upton, Wyoming than we have seen in previous races. Up next is going to be Grant Baylor aboard the Ampro FMF Yamaha, and he's next on the list of potential winners here in the National Enduro Series, and we talked to him before today's race.
Yeah, season's been going well here in the NEPG Series, and had a bad first round, jumped on the podium at the second round, and I've been off and on the podium all season, had a few good results, been close to the win. It's gonna take a lot to get up there in the lead with those guys, and I think we've had 3 different winners so far this season, or 4 different winners. And, everybody's riding really good. Russell, Stewart, Andrew, and Caleb. And, it's going to be tough to get up there in the top spot. But, I've been close, had a few test wins this year, and doing a lot better than last year. So,
as we transition through the rest of the riders, up next is actually big brother Stu Baylor aboard the Mototech KTM. Baylor's actually switching it up to the 4-stroke, I believe, for the rest of the series. We saw him on a 2-stroke earlier this year, and that's actually what took him to the round 1 win in Sumter. But he's switching up to the 450. He's racing it in every other series that he's been doing this year, back home in South Carolina as well as at the Grand National Series. It feels like he's, might as well stick to the 450 and just stay on it full time. We take a look at our 4-time champion, Russ Bobbitt, aboard the FMF KTM, the teammate to Russell. Caleb Russell, that is. As we look at the defending national champion's little brother, Craig DeLong, aboard the Husqvarna. Motorsport Yamaha's Brad BAKEN. Once again, this is a transfer trail, so no real reason to rush. It looks like everyone's having a good time. Factory Beta's Corey Buttrick giving a little wave to the camera, along with Air Group Radiant Husqvarna's Ryder LAFFERTY. like we said before, everything's really spread out here in Wyoming as we take a look at the Test 1 results. And on top of the board after Test 1, it's Caleb Russell, followed by Ian Blythe, who we didn't see in Test number 1, or in the transfer anyway. Corey Butchick aboard the Beta in 3rd, Russell Bobbitt, and Craig DeLong rounding out your top 5. As we move on to Test number 2, this, where we're picking the riders up, is actually closer to the start of Test 2. Not so much as close as the start of Test 1, but it is actually a part of the test as we look at Caleb Russell. This is one of the tighter sections that we've seen here in the National Enduro Series this year. Not to say that there haven't been a lot of tight sections at the previous rounds, but we haven't really had a chance to get to a lot of them. But this is a pretty tight section as Russell makes his way across the road. Actually got a couple log crossings in this one. You see Grant Baylor, he took a shorter line through there than what Russell did. There's a main line that a lot of the amateurs as well as Caleb Russell took. Baylor shortened it up. He makes his way through the rest of this section, winding out that YZ 450. Up and over the log crossing, a little bit more tentative than Russell. We look at our defending champion, Rockstar Husqvarna's Andrew DeLong. DeLong up on the pegs is customary style. It's what got him the national championship last year. You could hear him right there. It looked like it scared him a little bit when he saw that log that he wasn't really expecting that, but he's up and over no problem. Look at Mototech KTM Stu Baylor. He took the same short line that Grant did. Still looks a little slick. We had all those storms rip through late Saturday night. It looks like in some of these places, it looks like a little dust is starting to kick up, like right there, as Stu Baylor makes his way on through. Up next, Russell Bobbitt. There are amateurs out here. The pros start on row 21, but there are riders in the first 20 rows, you know, the amateur riders that the pro riders do have to contend with in pretty much each test. As Bobbitt makes his way through the final section. Look at that, up on the pegs over the log. That was really smooth. We look at Husqvarna's support rider, Craig DeLong, rather. DeLong, like we just said, he got caught up in the lappers. He makes his way across the road. Wow. That was pretty impressive. The fact that he was just about ready to tuck the front end and lose a whole lot of time. He saved it up and over the log. That might have been the fastest, third part of that section that we've seen out of anyone. Saw Brad Bakken go through. Now, Factory Beta's Corey Buttrick aboard the 430. Had some engine problems at Leadbelt. It sounds like he's got everything figured out right now. He's up on the pegs. He does the same thing as Bobbitt over the log. Buttrick looks good right now as we take a first look at Ian Blythe, who was third in the first test. We close out that section. As we take a look at the leaderboard, it's still Russell out front, Bobbitt in second, Blythe pushed back to third, Buttrick in fourth now, and Andrew DeLong in the number 5 spot. As we move into test number 3 now, I was actually a little bit ahead of myself with the test. We're actually at about the middle part of the test in test number 2, where we pick the riders up. This is a little bit closer to the start of test number 3 as we see your points leader, Caleb Russell, come through. We're in a riding area, not a lot of riding areas out here, but we are in a riding area for this National Enduro. No ATVs, no Jeeps, any bigger vehicles like you would see in some other parts of the country. And we also have a little bit of road crossings like you saw Grant Baylor hop across. That was nice. That gained him probably, a little bit of an advantage, quarter second, half second. As we see our defending champion, Andrew DeLong, come through. DeLong's trying to make his way back to the front after he took the round 2 win in Sandlapper earlier this year. Mototech KTM Stu Baylor. He does the same road hop that Grant did, a little bit shorter on the jump, but Stu's actually looking better as the year goes on. I think it took him a little bit longer than he would have liked to come back to get back healthy after the broken collarbone suffered right before Sandlapper. We take a look at Russell Bobbitt once again, the 4-time national champion. Craig DeLong aboard the Husqvarna. DeLong's one of those riders that's slowly getting better as the season goes on. I know he's wanting to get into that top 5, but he's looking good today. Here's another rider that really wants to crack into that top 5, Corey Buttrick. Buttrick, a few years ago, as we've mentioned before on the NEPG show, the injuries have really cost him, a lot of ground that he's really trying to make up for. But he's in contention for a top 5 today, his best finish of the season so far. We look at Ryder Lafferty aboard the Air Group Husqvarna. Lafferty's been right around the top 10 all season long. He's really wanting to make a push for that top 5. So we take a look at the other beta rider, Jesse Grom. Grom, who we saw have the problems at the waterfall at the lead belt, but he's looking good so far today. We look at our third beta rider. We don't get to see him too often, Justin So. We got a quick clip of him. We close out test number 3. And as we take a look at the leaderboard, it's still Russell out front, Bobbitt in second, Blythe in third, Buttrick and DeLong rounding out the top 5.
Now we'll take a break in the action for the NEPG Tech Tip brought to you by Unibiker Dirt Armor.
Hey, I'm Corey McDonald, mechanic for Grant Baylor, Ampro Yamaha NFAB team, and we're going to go with the Unibiker Tech Tips, where the brake line connects to the caliper. Coming out of the factory, when they torque it down, it actually moves the brake line away from the tire, and what happens is that you run into something and it'll push the brake line back in, loosening your banjo bolt, and all this could have been fixed just by a screwdriver and whatever wrench you need to tighten up your banjo bolt. Start off by loosening up the banjo bolt, and you'll see that there's going to be a lot of play in your cable. And what you do is you push that cable towards the tire, away from you. And you'll see there'll be a little bit of a gap in between the master cylinder and the cable. You stick a screwdriver in there, the right size, you put a little bit of pressure, and you take your wrench or T-handle and you tighten it up. If you don't leave that screwdriver in there, as you tighten up that banjo bolt, it will come towards you. And once again, you run into something, it'll knock that loose, push it towards the tire, loose your banjo bolt, and you lose your fluid. Simple as that.
Test number 4 now. A little overhead shot of the start of test 4. Like we've said before, with all the rain and the storms that ripped through Saturday night, a lot of standing water in some places. Not really a huge part in huge amounts on the course, but at the start and maybe the ends and some of the open sections of the test, we do have a lot of standing water. We see Grant Baylor splashing through. This is at the start of test 4. Baylor comes through aboard the Ampro FMF Yamaha. We got another log crossing. A lot of log crossings today. I haven't seen a whole lot of those. Not to say that they're not out there, but I just haven't caught them on camera that often. We take a look at Rockstar Husqvarna's Andrew DeLong once again. DeLong's looking good today. He's sitting right there in that top 5. A little tentative over the log, but it's still a lot quicker than crashing over it. We take a look at Stu Baylor aboard the Motortech KTM. Nice splash through the water. Look at Stu up on the pegs, kind of dancing around, floating it over some of the slick spots. Haven't really seen that out of him in his career, but he's looking good right there. I like how he did that. Kept the traction on the ground, didn't really override the section. Baylor looked good right there. Take a look at Russ Bobbitt. Not a whole lot of splash. He must have hit the hole, hit the water crossing pretty fast. Bobbitt's in there in second position overall right now, looking to gain some ground on Caleb Russell. He got himself one test win already, looking for some more. I believe this might be, Craig DeLong now. DeLong's looking a little racy right now, looking a little motocrossy. He's looking pretty aggressive. It's nice to see that out of DeLong. Take a look at Motorsport Yamaha's Brad BAKEN once again. BAKEN, we did the interview with Grant Baylor earlier today. BAKEN is another one of those riders that we feel everyone feels should have a win this year. And things just haven't come together for BAKEN, but we still have a few more rounds to go, so hopefully the Yamaha rider can make something happen. As we take a look at Buttrick. Buttrick goes around the log. He must have seen that coming a mile away in order to make that kind of quick decision. As we take a look at his teammate Jesse Grom.
Grom, that was a nice setup. I don't even know if that was intentional, but that looked good nonetheless. We take a look at our podium rider right now as it stands. Our third place rider, Ian Blythe. Haven't seen a whole lot of them today. Still no change in the top 5, but Ian Blythe has been racing this year at the Brazilian National Enduro Series down in South America. He's got some time off, decided to come up and race near his hometown. He lives in Colorado, decided to come out and hit the Indian Cara National. We're going to move right on to Test 6. With all the rain that we had, Test 5 was in a lot of low-lying areas, so it was thrown out. It was not run, so now it's just 5 tests today. We're moving right on to Test 6. And as far as the amateurs are concerned, our A and B riders, they're required to run 5 tests in the National Enduros, in which usually at a lot of these races, the 6th test is a pro-only test, and a little bit harder, you know, pretty much the hardest test of the day. But a lot of amateurs are having to ride this final test now that Test 5 was thrown out. Take a look at Grant Baylor. Andrew DeLong now coming through. A little more of an open field section. This is near the end of Test 6. And a couple of mud holes in these fields that are tripping riders up as they make their way towards the end. We take a look at Stu Baylor. Baylor hard on the throttle on that Mototech 450. Everyone keeps hitting their heads off the tree branches. They're coming downhill. That's got to be annoying, just a little bit. Russ Bobbitt, he looks aggressive towards the end of this test. He makes his way down the hill a little off-camber chicane here, around the trees, through the trees. Back to the field, and this is actually into some tighter woods right before they finish this test. We see Corey Buttrick. Buttrick, I think the next rider we should have seen should have been Craig DeLong. Buttrick is out ahead of him, so maybe DeLong has had a problem. Buttrick right now looking good for a top 5. His best finish of the year is Brad Bakken just says, heck with the corner. He's just going to keep on going. Goes around the corner, around the outside, loses some time in doing that, but he must have felt good enough. He's like, I'm going to jump. As Bakken makes his way through and closes out test number 6. We'll take a look at Jesse Grom now. Grom's in the hunt for a top 5 today. He wants back in that lead contention. Misses the line right there, but not too bad. No harm done. He heads back into the tight stuff. Take a look at Ian Blythe once again. Blythe in contention for a podium, a surprise visit for him. And he's making good on it. Running in 3rd place overall, and he might actually end up finishing there as he heads back into the tighter woods to close out test number 6. And it is going to be Ian Blythe in 3rd with Caleb Russell. Russell Bobbitt 1-2. With Ian Blythe 3rd, Corey Buttrick aboard the Beta with his best ride of the year in 4th, and Andrew DeLong, your defending national champion, in 5th. And that's going to do it here for us at our Motion Pro Indian Cara National. Let's check in with our top 3. Your winner, Caleb Russell. 2nd place, Russell Bobbitt. And your 3rd place, that's surprising, Ian Blythe.
You know, I really didn't know how I was doing all day. I was just riding as fast as I could, and I was back on 36, so nobody was telling me, nobody was sticking around telling me like the test results or anything, but I felt like I was riding good. So after the 3rd test, somebody told me I got 2nd in that test, and I was like, sweet, all right, it's not just my imagination, I am actually riding good.
Really felt good all day, just a couple little spills, and the last test actually popped my shoulder out, but put it back in and still was able to finish pretty decent and get 2nd for the day.
It feels good to knock off another one and kind of extend the points lead a little bit going into the next round, and 4 more to go. So just kind of try and keep it together and not do anything dumb and stay healthy is the biggest thing, and